Well, well, well.
Hello.
Isn't it the International Traveler?
It is. I've been all around the province and state immediately beside me.
I'm cracking my soda stream in celebration of such a wonderful recording session.
Oh, excellent.
Maybe later, if things get crazy, I'll have a diet root beer. You know, we live the party life here.
I have a raspberry bubbly from the America
I'm so
Walmart.
jealous.
It's delicious. My mom came 2 weeks ago to visit on Family Day, like the holiday Family Day. And she brought me 8 cases of LaCroix because she lives near the border. And she carried 6 of them into the house herself in one trip.
What?
Yeah.
Like beast bubbly
She's
mode.
like, oh, it's fine. So she's very powerful like that.
Well, welcome to LaCroix Anonymous, everyone. Please stick around and we'll tell you all about it.
Woo!
So, May.
Yes.
It's a lovely evening in our lives, and welcome to everyone who's listening today or tonight, whatever the time may be for you.
Whatever time works best.
Whatever time you listen to your podcast, because that's the magic of podcasts. And if you're not sure what this podcast is about, May and I, Moxey, are lifelong friends, and we discovered that we had this shared feeling, perception, love within us that as we got older, we kind of figured out how to harness it, and now we want to share that with everyone else. And we really feel that the more love you put out into the world, you get an exponential amount of love back, and that is our movement. We kind of call it the euphorolytic movement, and it's just that exponential love coming back at you, and to really help everyone find a way to put love out in the world and get more back.
That is correct, Moxie, and this is something that anyone can do. It's not going to cost you any money. All it takes is just a little bit of effort, honing it. It's a skill like any other skill that you practice. And all it takes is looking for the little love in situations, allowing yourself to be delighted, putting that love out into the world, and then allowing yourself to receive all of the vibrational energies of this exponentially increased euphorolytic love that's going to come back into your life.
I was actually very much delighted this week.
Oh!
I don't know if you and I
Please
have
tell
talked
me
about
about
this
it.
yet. I got a new camera, and
Oh, yes.
we usually stay away from the material goods in terms of putting our love out there, but I have literally wanted this camera for 3 years.
You have definitely spoken of this camera on several occasions, yes.
It's my attraction to this camera is just really tiptoeing the line of like sexual attraction. That's how much I desired this camera. And
Oh, wow.
I ended up selling, I guess I'll coyly call them some assets. I had some money from income from investing in a business, and I sold a tiny little chunk of that off. I'm not a millionaire, by the way, people. This is like really small beans. And I ordered the camera, and it came Wednesday, and I was using it today for filming, because if you just listen to this podcast, you may not know I have a YouTube channel. So I was filming, and it was, I've been looking back at the footage all night tonight, and it's just like everything I ever
Right.
desired, and it has just completely made the quality of my stuff go up so much better. It makes it look like I actually know what I'm doing instead of half my shots.
You do know
being
what you're
blurry.
doing. You do.
I mean, I know more than what you know,
Well,
but
I mean,
it
that's
just,
good. Well, there
you know,
go.
it's just one of those things. Like the deeper it is like a cancer. Like the deeper you get into it, the more you know you don't know,
I
and the more
suppose,
you're
yeah.
like, oh, I need this like multi-$1,000 camera to make nice shots. And
It,
anyway, I got it. It's great. It gave me such a euphorolytic feeling.
Oh, I'm so
It was
happy.
one of the longest hours of my life waiting for the battery to charge when I took it out of the box so I could play with it. But it was great. So that made my week pretty good. And then,
that's
everything
lovely.
else around that, I had a fairly good week, even though I'm mentally unstable. So that's great.
Oh, excellent. Well, I mean, it's having a good week or a good day is always a little bit of a win really, especially when you're in the time of year where you're just kind of struggling to get back to your normal peppy, cheerful self. And it can be very discouraging sometimes, especially this time of year when the sun is gone. But
I had to go out and film what I was filming. I just drove to the beach and forced myself to get out. So I'll blame that on the camera that I was able to go out and do something instead of my normal panicked attitude, like I have to go home and be a workaholic.
Yeah.
And I drove out to the beach because it actually was a sunny day.
Me and John went to see a movie, and I figured by the time we came out of the movie it would be snowing, but it wasn't. I don't know if I told you this. This was just kind of an interesting moment that I had. Last week, I went with John to one of his comedy shows, and to get there's like a parking lot down by where the show was, and then you can either walk around on the street, or you can walk through a little hole in a chain link fence through a construction zone. So very safe. Obviously that's the way that we went, so we're sneaking through this little path. And it comes down by I'm in a port city, so it's very close to the water, and it was lightly snowing, and it was really, really cold, but also just quite dry and crisp, and the light snow, and then the water was really rough, and it was completely, there was no other sound, like no wind, and the only thing you could hear was the water crashing up on the rocks. And it was all lit up by like the floodlights that are over top, like on the boardwalk. And it was so I loved it. It was so nice. And I stood there as long as I could. I told John to just go on ahead and I'd be right there. But I stood and watched it as long as I could stand the cold. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too.
It was so
and
nice.
It was totally just off the wall decision. Like just kind of random. And
it just...
And actually, here, there was about 20 surfers in the water because of last night's storm.
There were surfers?
Oh, yeah. Winter surfing is
What?
huge
here. You're blowing my mind today. I have never heard of that.
Go look on my Instagram stories, because obviously I took the beautiful new camera. But it's there's like 20 surfers in the water.
Wow.
And in the foreground of the shot I took, there's a surfer carrying their surfboard down.
Huh.
Because the water never gets as cold as the air, right? So,
I mean, it's probably still chilly.
The beach by me is Lawrencetown, which is about a 20-minute drive. And there's a pretty large surfing population that goes there.
No way. Well,
for Nova Scotia, obviously. But, yeah.
Crazy. That's very interesting.
So I think they were all feeling their euphorilytic vibes.
I would say so.
They got up in the morning and shoveled their driveways to get out to go down to the beach and start surfing in the beautiful sunny day.
That would take a lot of dedication.
Yeah, I mean, if you like doing something, you should do it. Just like the things you and I like. It's just completely different world than you and I are used to.
Well, this is true. I like things that are indoors. I'm an indoors kid.
I'm a hybrid kid, but winter surfing is probably...
Yeah, that's a hard pass for me. I would watch a winter surfer.
I would bring a sleeping bag and bundle up and watch.
Yeah.
But it was only about 0 degrees
okay,
Celsius.
Yeah, so it's not even that
So it was
cold,
only about
really.
freezing. And I'm sure the water was probably 5 or 10 degrees, which I know absolutely sounds insane, but in the scheme of things... With a really good wetsuit, you'd probably be fine. So.
Wow. That sounds
And then
great.
one lady, I was walking back to the car, and she had the same car as I do. And then I was carrying my giant camera after taking pictures, and she was all done up in her wetsuit, and she was like, "Hi."
Oh.
And I was like, "Hi."
Car friends.
I was like, "Are you trying to pick me up? I'm down."
Let's go.
I date a surfer.
Yeah, why not?
just so I could say I dated a surfer.
A winter surfer.
Her car was orange.
Oh my. This is the most euphoric color, as you know, in my personal belief.
You have declared that. How's your citrus a day going?
It's a little stalled. I had one Wednesday, and then there was a day when I was out at a meeting, And when I got back, my oranges in the work fridge had been thrown out.
Oh.
So I was, I don't know. I wasn't overly impressed. And I did go to dig because I knew, well, there were some clementines that they were ready to go. And they weren't mine, but my orange was a innocent bystander in that cull. So I did go into the garbage can to try and dig it out, but I had thrown out some sloppy like coffee grinds and stuff prior to that. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna let it
Not
go.
worth
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I didn't have one since then. I didn't have one all weekend. I was very discombobulated all weekend.
Traveling can do that.
Yeah,
too.
it was the traveling, and I didn't sleep well the first night. I think it's just a mild sleep paralysis, but I get into this,
What?
I don't know. I get into this state of mind where like I'm not fully awake, but I'm still lucid, and I'll be, while in this situation, something will be wrong. Like I'm not comfortable, but I don't know what to do about it because I'm like half asleep. So I was cold, and I was just trying to like huddle myself into a ball to stay warm, but then
That happens to me too.
Yeah.
Like you don't have the rationality of like just get up for 90 seconds and get a blanket.
I know, or like turn the heat up, or put pants
turn the
on,
heat up, yeah.
or like
You just sit there shivering for half the night.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
No, I've done that many times too.
But on a positive note, I think some people, when they're in that state, think that they're being abducted by aliens. So it could be worse.
Oh, you think that's that? You think when that is happening, that's what those people are talking about?
Yeah, I think it's sleep paralysis. Just a kind of... I'm not downplaying what happens because I am sure that would be terrifying. Because I have had really vivid, like, weird dreams where I felt like Like one time I had one where a truck drove by outside, and when I live kind of by a main road, and sometimes transport trucks will drive by and you can feel like a little tiny bit of a tremor. And I was laying on the couch, and one drove by and it shook me so hard that it like bounced me off the couch and I fell onto the floor. And then that woke me up and I was still sleeping on the couch. So obviously I hadn't been bounced into the air. But it was so, you know how when you fall in a dream and then you wake up just before?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that.
Yeah.
And my cat was okay, so I knew that I hadn't actually levitated or anything. Which was comforting.
Yeah.
but I do think like when people are abducted by aliens, that's kind of what's happening, is they're having this really scary situation. John had sent me a text on, I don't know, Saturday night, and said that the boys next door were throwing snowballs at our house.
Oh.
Which, yeah, there's like the place next door is a rental unit, and there's balconies.
Yeah.
So there were some boys that were throwing snowballs at the house from the balcony. And part of me doesn't really care, but also I wouldn't want them to like hurt the siding, and I'm sure they're not doing it to be malicious. It's just it's funny. You know what I mean?
They're
like
just kids, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not really upsetting to me. And we were trying to think like what the best scenario would be, and so I just was like playing this thing over in my head where I would see them be like, guys, be cool, I thought we were neighbors, and trying to like get on their level. And then I realized like how dumb that is. Like, I don't know. Like that definitely would not work, especially since the same boys, about a week ago when I was crossing the street getting off the bus, I slipped and completely wiped out in the street.
Yeah.
And they saw and were laughing and yelling at me from the porch.
What?
And then, yeah, and one of them was like, did you have a nice fall? And I was like, well, no, I hurt myself, actually. And then they kind of felt, they were still trying to be cool and show off, but you could tell they felt bad. So they just kind of...
They didn't know how to
like,
snap back out and like be a human again.
I know.
Yeah.
Like they weren't ready for me to answer them
Realistically,
like a
yeah.
person,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Because I I don't know. I get embarrassed, but at the same time, I was laughing, like, because it is funny to slip on the ice if you're not hurt. Like, I didn't break anything. I just was, like, hurt my arm, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so these, I already knew that they weren't necessarily going to be on my side. So then John found out that they actually had been throwing eggs and apples at our house.
What?
Which, yeah, so there's egg all over the side of my house. And so we're going to have to get a pressure washer, and it's just a rigmarole. So he actually did go knock on the door, you know, to see if the parents were there. Because we'd prefer to just say, like, hey, this is happening. You know, it's going to hurt our siding. Because our siding already blows off. So, I don't know. So the boys were the only ones home. And one boy said it wasn't me, which is the boy that we had watched do it. And then and the other boy said that he was sorry that someone threw something at our house. So I'm thinking, like, okay, maybe they won't do it again, or maybe it'll escalate to rocks. But
rocks would be easier. They'll just like, to get egg off is a huge.
They'll break our window, though. I'm scared because we have 2 windows on that side. So I'm scared a rock would break the window. But I mean, I guess I'm trying to see what kind of a lesson there is in this whole situation for me, because this is kind of like a full circle moment for me, because I've definitely done things like throw snowballs at houses and moving cars as a child.
Maybe it's just a lesson in, like, letting go. And
yeah, because I was never upset about it. It was never really, but just how you do that thing where you have a conversation in your head, you know, and you've got the whole thing planned out, and I'm going to say this, and I'm
you work it up in your head so much. Yeah.
And then they weren't there anyway, because my whole plan was just to mention, like, say it to them if they were out there when I walked by.
Yeah.
But they weren't, and I wasn't home anyway all weekend, so I didn't have to deal with that at all. So yes, maybe that is the lesson, just to let the energy go out into the world and put my thoughts into something constructive.
Yeah, some things we just don't have control over. And no matter how much love we try to put out there, there isn't a lot of love that comes back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that the best thing to do in those situations is just to really focus your love outwards even stronger, because I feel like there's someone out there receiving it, and maybe even those kids are receiving some kind of a feeling from it. I don't know. Who knows? This story has no point. I just wanted to share it. Like I say, I feel like maybe there's some kind of a message that will reveal itself.
Maybe eventually. It'll remind someone of what they used to do as a kid and give them some strength to apologize.
True. Yeah, maybe this isn't
else.
even a message for me.
Maybe.
Yeah, you're right, Moxie.
Yeah. Let's go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have
a
crystal to refocus our energies tonight?
I do have a crystal. I was looking around the room, and I thought that I had spoken about this one before, and I'm a little surprised that I haven't. Today's crystal is selenite. And selenite is particularly valued as a healing crystal. Mm-hmm. It's said to have the highest vibrational energy.
Oh, really? And how is that measured scientifically?
Well, by the vibrations, of course, Moxie. And scales. I'm not a scientist.
On the placebo barometer?
I can't say what they do. On the vibrator. The Vibratron.
Sounds like a device I'd be interested in.
Oh, God.
Maybe we're in the wrong profession.
It could. I often think that. Oh, dear. So, well, oh, yeah. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked by all these vibrations in the air.
Sorry, my apologies.
From having this crystal so close to me.
We got all worked up from the vibrations. My apologies.
It's supposed to be very good for clearing out like blocked energies within you. So I guess, yeah, this ties in also with what I was saying before. Like, this is a good crystal to help you let go of the bad stuff and just clear it out, get a clean slate, start fresh. People also will carry this into a surgery with them just to help.
Oh.
Just kind of, to get like the badness out and help with the overall mood in the room. Okay. And also, the surgeons are they don't need the help. They're very competent.
I was thinking more infection control, but maybe they're sterilizing it for the people. So we'll go with that. Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah.
And also, I've never had a surgery, so, I mean, maybe they're not actually going into the room. No, I haven't.
You've never really even been hospitalized, eh?
No, the time I was sick with food poisoning really bad, I went in overnight, but that's it. Huh. And I was put out when I had my wisdom teeth out, but that's it.
Wow.
So I'm really hoping to never have to have a surgery, but...
Keep your vibrational crystal nearby in case you do.
I will. I will. And just keep on listening to those horrific medical mishap podcasts that I love so much. And they really help with the
anxiety.
Yeah, with making me into a basket case who's worried all the time. Selenite is... It has a very satiny look to it. It's a very beautiful stone. And it looks like it's like a white color. Has a satiny finish. And it often grows in like a wand, kind of another stalactite cube type rectangular shape. But it can also be polished.
High vibrations and it's wand shaped?
Yes.
Interesting.
So... There you go. Oh, you can use it kind of as like a psychic eraser, and you pass it over your body and just imagine you're erasing all the smudges from your aura as you do it. You can do that. You can't argue with me because that is a thing you can do.
Sure, May. Sure.
So yeah, it's a very beautiful satiny, kind of almost mirrored in a way. And it also is, what's interesting about it, it's a very soft stone, and I believe it's water soluble.
Whoa!
Like I think if it's in, because they say not to get it wet, and I believe that if it'll dissolve because it's a type of gypsum, and it will eventually, like, it's chalky. It can be like the wands that are raw, they're chalky on your hands. So it eventually can just kind of wear away.
Yeah.
And which is really interesting, I think. And the Greeks named it selenite after, I think it's Selena, was like a moon goddess, because they believed that these stones were chunks of the moon falling to earth, because they have kind of like that shimmery moonbeam effect to them.
But they're chalky too. Huh. Yeah.
Yeah. And they would be used for decoration around light sources, because it also conducts light really well.
Huh, neat.
And it's interesting. So yeah. And it's very common, and it occurs in every continent of the world. So it's a very common stone. I've never really seen like a raw I've seen a quartz, but not a crystal. Anyway, I'd like to go digging rocks. I think I say that every third podcast.
I'm sure there's a place you could do it.
I would love it. I think there's one in Maine.
Oh.
I'd like to go to.
You dig crystals? It's like you pick strawberries, but crystals?
Yes! And it was for children, so yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. You and I do a lot of childlike activities for sure.
It's true. I do really enjoy kind of younger audience aimed type things, because I allow myself to be delighted.
And you look for the little love in those little moments in life.
I'm always looking for the little love.
Well, that's probably a great high note to end on, May.
I think so, as I take another sip of this delicious raspberry bubbly. We are not sponsored by bubbly, but I'm open to it.
I'm open to any sponsorship of anyone and anything at any time. Our rates are just rock bottom deals too. If anyone wants to promote something,
Very reasonable.
Add us.
And I
on
have been at rock bottom, so I can tell you.
Yeah, the rates are quite low.
They're quite reasonable.
If you want to reach out and get a rate sheet, that's a total joke. Just DM us and any offer, and we'll probably take it. You can follow us on Instagram at Euphorilytic, EUPHORALYTIC, or you can just DM me, Moxie Munchies, or May Wonderful. We love talking to people. We love sharing. We're around basically all the time because we're old ladies and we stay home. And if you are just joining us the past few podcasts, one thing that is great for us is if you can give us a positive review on your Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts doesn't show you a positive score until you have a certain number of reviews. So that would be a great act of love you could give us that still doesn't really cost you anything but 2 minutes. And that would go a long way to helping us out as well. If you didn't have something that you wanted to pay us $6 to sponsor on the podcast.
$6, that's good.
Well, they'd probably, even if they just bought you a crystal, they could sponsor an episode.
Oh my gosh, yes.
This is not a for-profit movement. We have a bit of cost to run this, but they're fairly low at this point. So, yeah. Or just buy me a LaCroix and I'll love you forever.
Delicious.
Well, May, have a lovely week, and I will see you next time.
You as well, Moxie, and everyone out there. I hope to be together real soon, and we can have another lovely chat about the Euphorilytic movement that we love so much, and we love you as well.
Okay, we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.